everybody, Mike McWilliams, Upstairs to the Right Music Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in to this part 2 of why this Yamaha said, "Epiphone, hold my beer." Now in part 1 I talked a little bit about this guitar. I was doing a live stream at the time. But in part 2 I think that I can get into a little bit more detail and explain exactly why this guitar beats anything inspired by the current inspired by Gibson line, and certainly at half the cost. And it's certainly something that you should take a look at. Here I have a 1985 Lord Player 400, the standard. Certainly a very well constructed Les Paul that has a lot of the features that you're looking for in the inspired by Gibson line, and believe it or not, a few that you would find not on the USA standards by Gibson, but you would find on the custom shop or on this model. So let's go through a few of those so I can sort of encourage you to maybe spend a little less coin and get a little bit better guitar, all the while helping the environment by buying used. I think that the main message today is take a look at used. Starting off, we have a true ABR bridge on this. The posts are going directly into the top here. There's no studs that it's going to that have been placed in the body like you would find on every Epiphone, and also the Gibson standard, the USA standard. This is a custom shop feature because this is exactly the way that Gibson was constructing Les Pauls back in the 50s and going into the early 60s. So that is one feature just right off the bat that this guitar has that is considered to be a premium, actually. Certainly it goes without mentioning that this headstock is your standard headstock. There's 3 headstocks that Gibson produces. There is the standard headstock, which you can see here. So this guitar certainly has the standard headstock on it. Also, there's a 61 reissue and as well as the custom headstock. But today we're going to focus on the fact that here we have a Gibson-esque, or let's just say it is the Gibson standard headstock. And this is something that you're paying a premium for because Gibson has licensed that out to Epiphone. Even though the Gibson is the owner of Epiphone, they had the license out to Epiphone with the new inspired by Gibson line to have this headstock. And of course, there's a premium that comes with that licensing. So that's one of the additional cost factors there with the inspired by Gibson lines, is that licensed headstock. So there is that. The next thing that I'll say about this, while we're going from the headstock, we'll work our way down to the fretboard. This is not Indian Laurel. This is true rosewood. I don't mind Indian Laurel so much. It's not so bad. But to be frank with you, if you reach back in time a little bit, even 10 years, you can find guitars that have true rosewood fretboards on it, and it does make a difference. It is better. There's no question about that. Next thing that I can talk about is the carve on this. It has a beautiful carve on this 100% solid top. This is a solid 3-piece maple top on this guitar with a beautiful carve on it, you know, so it's got a little beauty to it that I have to say that shines through like you would find on a standard from Gibson. The 3-piece top is indicative of how Gibsons were producing Gibson guitars in the 1980s. So the Japanese merely just copied that. So this is a solid maple top on this, 3 pieces though, not a veneer. The body of this is actually where there's a difference. As I mentioned before, this is the Lord Player 400. There's one more above this, and that's the Lord Player 500. The difference, and the only difference between these two models, is that the body of this is not mahogany. The body on this one is agathis, which is not so bad. They say out there that agathis is a very heavy wood, but this weighs in at 8.8 pounds, which I consider to be a good Les Paul weight. Not too heavy, not too light, a good one. Solid guitar. And the 500, as I said, has a mahogany back. So this has agathis on the 400. The 500 you'll find has a mahogany back like you would on a Gibson standard. Not a biggie. The neck on this is still a mahogany neck. So there is that. One little small difference there, but not a big one, to be frank with you. not a biggie. I'm more of the maple top. The fact that it's a solid top and it's not a veneer like you would find on the, unfortunately, inspired by Gibson line as well. A lot of veneers there. No, these are solid tops. With, by the way, this is not a poly coat on this. This is actually a nitrocellulose coat on this. So these are sprayed in nitro. Now, this guitar really, in terms of that nitro paint job on it, really sets it a step above. As a matter of fact, there's several features on this guitar that set it a step above. This is the successor to the Yamaha Studio Lord line. We featured a Studio Lord 700 on this channel, so if you haven't had a chance, take a look down. I'll put it in the links below and you can take a look at that. But this was the successor to that guitar. And Yamaha went all out on the 400 and the 500 Lord Player series. Now, a little bit later on, 3 years later, the same guys that were making these guitars started making guitars for Epiphone, believe it or not, starting with the Orville by Gibson Epiphones. And those are superior quality Epiphones, just like these Yamahas are superior quality as well. So they're well known, the Orville by Gibsons, for their quality. Again, the same guys who were making those were making these 3 years before. So there is that. Another thing about this is the pickups. Japanese pickups and the hardware in general on this guitar are really, really fantastic. Considering that this guitar was made the year that I graduated from high school, I would say that, again, it's held up a lot better than me, and its hardware is just fantastic. There's not a lot of tarnishing, so not cheap stuff there. I do believe we have got good nickel hardware on here. The pickups themselves are Alnico 5 pickups. Really growly. They remind me of the 490R and the 490T by Gibson's. As a matter of fact, very similar. Really love the sound of this guitar. Tuners are great. This guitar stays in perfect tune. I did put a brand new bone nut on this guitar. I felt that it needed it. The old nut had a chip in it, and let's just get it back to 100% perfect again, I thought. So I did that. So yeah, a lot of reasons here in a short summary there, guys, why you need to be reaching back a little bit and looking at some of these older Japanese certainly made Les Pauls, because the quality of what you're seeking and what you're paying a lot more for, again, this is half the price of anything you're going to find on the Inspired, well, the similar like kind on the Inspired by Gibson line that you're getting out of Epiphone. Half the price, guys. You really are not going to beat that kind of deal, and with more features, and I would say superior woods, just to kind of round that out. These maple tops are going to, again, trump anything that's coming out of China. Certainly 1985 in Japan, so there is that. All right, guys, that's enough for this today. Enough talking about this Yamaha Lord Player 400. I thought I would share with you, do a little bit of discussion about why I think it's a fantastic, beautiful guitar, and why you should be looking at buying secondhand. Again, out there in the secondhand market, there are gems like this to be found. It is a global market. Why not reach out and reach all over the globe when you're purchasing things? Why not? Find some surprises. My cat is eating over here, so you'll excuse the munching sound. she doesn't care, just as long as she's got her kibble. But I hope you guys did. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in today and watch this discussion about this Yamaha. I think that these Yamahas from that time are great. I think you should take a look at them, and thank you for taking a look at this one with me today. If you haven't subscribed and you like this type of content, why don't you do so? We have a growing community here. It's growing every day. I have a goal of getting to 5,000 subscribers by the end of this year, and I think with a little help from my friends, it can be done. So why don't you join this community? If you really enjoyed what you saw today, don't forget to hit the like button. It helps in the YouTube algorithm. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. You guys rock on, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.